the way, just so we were supposed to have somebody keeping time, but I think it's going to be, is it going to be you now? Yeah. Okay, great. In which case, can we please just make sure that 30 seconds before the end of the pitch, they get at least a raise of hand. It doesn't have to be a sound, but just something to make them oriented. It's going to be easier to know when to slowly start to speed it up if necessary to get through the whole presentation, because otherwise we just have this sort of small bits and pieces, right? All right, thank you very much, Maria. The next one we have Alcides Montoya, right? Who's going to present to us the Plant Factory Agriculture Unit for Food Production Improvements.
Good afternoon. Two professors, Alcides Montoya and Gonzalo Vargas, for 10 years ago starting thinking in how can help to the people to produce more food. And in these 10 years, we developed plant factory agricultural units. This is our laboratory in Medellin, Colombia. And the plant factory agricultural units consist in 3 units. One for aeroponics, other for aquaponics, and other for fungi. We are searching an UCAP partner for extend the plant factory agricultural model and commercialize this system. We have only one Earth with limited resources, more people, less water, less food. And the climate change has changed the world. And our product, developed for 10 years, is this type of agricultural units. This is for hydroponics units, produce tomato, lettuce, coriander, plants, herbs, using hydroponics, similar to plant factory. This is a fungi unit, produce a lot of fungi, and this is a unit for aquaponics. The system has a prototype and is developed in 22 towns in Antioquia. And the benefits of this model is that we have more productivity, tested, save water, tested, less expensive compared with other technologies, more crops per year, and really good for the condition of climate change in the future. Our plant factory units are oriented as a modular solutions, can grow up as a Lego. And our UCA progress was really brilliant. We have a proposition for Colombian farmers to sell in Colombia. We have a connection with Nacional University. We created in this week a business model, B2B, and currently we are working in patents and copyrights. Call to action, research and validation in UK institution, in this moment Nottingham University, search for UK agri-tech partners and investors for grow up around the world. Thank you very much.
Are you looking for any specific size of investment, just quickly?
Sorry?
Any specific size of investment? Because it just said
no.
In
this moment, our first interest is to develop a prototype in UK to extend the system to UK and Europe. Yeah?
Thank you. Judges, questions, please.
Which plants are you focusing on?
We are focusing in plants that are really expensive locally. For example, if London has tomatoes expensive or coriander or rugula or other plants, we can produce this type of plants in our units. We produce locally and you establish the market locally. Yeah?
Oh, okay, so you're not growing in Colombia, you're...
No, the idea is to growing the plants that can be used in the market, for example, in London or UK, and to test this in Nottingham University to do can be extended to other countries in Europe remember that Colombia is in tropical conditions, and okay.
So, two questions. Sort of, what is the business model? So, are you planning to license the technology, or actually build these all over the world, or?
It's a B2B model. We can sell the units, we can sell the systems, and we can support the system. And the small and medium farmers can produce or fungi, or fish, or plants in your units.
So we
don't need to put, for example, a plant factory. A plant factory is a system, expensive system, and so on. And don't use the land. It's in the medium. Yeah, it's for small farmers and medium farmers.
Could you put this into cities?
Yeah, maybe to use in cities and using old buildings and in other structures, but we need to test the prototypes in these cities.
Okay, one more question, if you have any.
So how does it differentiate now from other sort of growing systems for growing that are there? So how does?
The differentiate. You can differentiate, but in land you need a lot of pesticides and a lot of fertilizers.
Yeah, but I mean sort of versus other greenhouse solutions. I mean, fungi are grown in the UK as well. So
UK in this moment there are used two models: the land in the jungle, and use in this moment plant factories. UK has two plant factories, but it's really expensive to maintain and to support this type of business. This business can be more cheaper.
You can stop with the question, but I think there is some headway there into actually giving a bit of advice in terms of how to think about these types of, because I think we're seeing a theme around here a little bit about which parts of the pitches are stronger, which parts are weaker, and maybe just to give a bit of advice on that one would make sense.
Well, for me at least, it would be helpful to have more clarity. If, for instance, if you're planning to actually build these and ship them in Colombia and ship them around the world and set them up around the world, etc., we're talking about huge investments that are required.
Yeah.
We're talking about hundreds of millions probably, or at least millions. Or if it's so that you're more looking for sort of more a franchising or licensing model,
maybe
trying to understand what is the aim there, and it didn't really come through from the presentation how you're going to build a business.
Okay.
And what the business model is behind it.
We start with IP patent and copyright, and next to validate the prototype. I think that is a good idea to search about licensing or other possibilities in the business model.
I think you're about to do some testing in the UK.
Yeah.
My recommendation is don't do the testing. Wait 1 week, and during that week, do the financial analysis as to, on the back of a piece of paper, you will be able to do the financial analysis as to see whether it is worth doing the testing.
Perfect.
You will need to establish some financial goals for the testing, because you will come up with an answer, and it will be a technical answer. Yes, it works. No, it doesn't work. But you need to, before you start, have a hypothesis or a cost per carrot or a cost per tomato that you need to achieve. Because at the moment, in the UK and in every country in the world, there is a cost for the current farming system to deliver a fruit or a piece of vegetable. So in order for taxpayers' money in Colombia or investors' money somewhere else to be spent in this, you need to demonstrate ahead of time that it's going to be better, or at least a better product for the same price. And what I think, the potentially, your work has enormous positive outcome, but it could also be a complete waste of time, monumental waste of time, and you have the ability to do the financials first before you go down that route, because otherwise you're wasting your life, because it's pointless, because you can already tell by doing the financials whether you will go. And if you can't achieve your goals with the financials, the other thing the financials will do is it will tell you where to target your effort if you are going to continue on the project. It may become obvious very quickly that the most expensive part of your project is part X or Y, and you can maybe cut that out or do something cheaper in order to make it successful. So don't start the project on the testing until you've done the financials first.
Thanks for the advice. Really good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alcides.
I'll just jump in very quickly to the people on the live streaming because it seems Colombians are the more interesting group compared to the Mexicans. Let's